Hello, meatbags. This is Bob Meatbag. I am here today with a critique for Jose Domingo Luna. And before we get started, I'd just like to apologize beforehand if I sound a little nervous or fidgety. It's been a while since I've done any critiques, and the ones that I have done have always been for friends and classmates. So, I'm sorry if I lose my train of thought or, something like that. But yeah, I'd like to thank everybody that liked the Meatbag Society on Facebook. If you're a meatbag, you're always welcome there, and if you're not, you're welcome anyways. Um, I'd especially like to thank the people who put their work up for me to critique. I feel really honored, so let's get started. Alrighty then. So, as you can see, the one on the left is the one that I drew over and added with all the changes. And the one on the right is the original. And this is just for the sake of comparison. So let's get started with the head first, because that's the one that I first began with. So right away, I'm sure you can see that there's quite a few changes to the brow, to the neck, and to the features, and a little bit to the hair. But overall, I focused mostly on the features, with the shape of the face here, and the chin, and this area here as well. There's a little bit on the nose, but that's not much, and especially with the mouth and stuff like that. So, I noticed that with your character, you have a girl that has more of a tomboyish look, and I had this problem myself. If you know, just take a look at some of my previous videos. I think it's the one called the biker chick or the biker girl, and that's one where I tried to draw a girl leaning on on a on a motorcycle. There we go, not a bicycle, a motorcycle. There we go. Sorry. And basically for that one, I tried to draw a girl's face, but it was very mannish, and I always had that problem. And the reason was, I constantly, when I drew a face, it's like I had all these sharp angles, that kind of stuff. And that ends up looking more like a boy or a man and less of a girl. So, once when I was able to get the idea of just curving things a bit more around the features, I was able to finally get girls to look more like girls, So, as you can see for here, I just softened the features up here. The chin, I made it softer here, and the lines over here, I pushed the brow forward and flattened this part a bit, and then just curved it. And what that does is to just help soften the features up, and that way it makes the girl look more. Because I think for me, when I took a look at a girl's face, you can always tell that they're a girl, even if they might not look very feminine. The texture of the skin is softer, the cheeks are a bit rounder, and overall, it's something about it that's not as blocky. Whereas, let me show you, have a bit of a demonstration here. Like for example, a male might have very blocky features. Sharp, angular, that kind of stuff, and it varies from male to male. Some males have softer features, some ones have more blockier ones, but on average, I think most males have pretty sharp features. And then for a girl, it's more like soften the features up. It's more like that. And these are very cartoony faces here, but hopefully this conveys the idea. And the other thing that I noticed as well, if you take a look at the width Well, I think I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But the thickness of the neck, you'll see that it is very, very thick. If you have the shoulders here and then that kind of stuff, it looks. She has the neck of someone that is very muscular and I think more proportionate to a male. So what I did was I just, as you can see here, I slimmed that down, just so that there's just so that it once again adds to the idea of more feminine figure. I can't say. My words are just tumbling out of my mouth, but yeah. So just by slimming it down and making it look more slender, I feel anyways as though that makes it so that she appears more like a girl. Moving on to the hair, and I think it's going to be the last thing for the head of the female character, is that as you can see here, I've done the changes mostly towards the edge, and when the hair is coming down, I did it mostly towards the end of it, when it's falling over her face and going about her neck. The reason for that is, when you have your character's head over here, and let's just move that to the side. Oh, what's this? Just move that over to the side. This is a very rough drawing, but let's say this represents the face or the skull, and then if you have hair, then when it's just at the top of the head. Let's get another color in there actually. And let's make it a bit black so it reads out more. When it's just at the top here, it's just this one clump, one shape, one large negative space of mass. And when you draw hair, you don't draw, every individual strand, and I'm sure you know that because you've done it so that it's in a shape. But basically, you just want to have one shape, but when it peters out towards the end, it becomes more than just one shape. It becomes many things, as you can see there. And for yours, I just basically, I figured since the top here is a bunch of negative space, I can add more positive space, more detail. It's just, very quickly, I'm just going to redo it here. And I felt as though that would work better. And it also makes sense because I think, like I said before, just a couple of seconds ago, when it's up here, it's just one big mass. But when it comes down, that's when the strand starts to separate, and it becomes more than just one shape, it becomes many shapes. Oakley dokley, we are now going to move on to the full body version of your character. And as you can see here, there's also many changes, or a few changes anyways, that I did. And the first thing that I did when looking at your character was just to try and find the line of action. And to give a quick idea of what the line of action is, it is basically the main line or force that the body is following at the time. So if a person is, let's say, stretching, then most likely they're going to be, suppose it's going to be something like this. And basically it's just their whole body is stretching outward. And their body just stretching out like this. And as you can see here, the line of action is just one big line, one slightly curved line. And that's what it is. If a person is, let's say, sitting down, slouched like this, then most likely their line of action is going to be that. And that's the main line of action for a person's body. There's many, there's smaller lines of actions, for example, from the elbow to the armpit. That's going to be like here, and from the elbow to the hand, it's going to be here. And then if you were to, but you can simplify even that with just one big curve like this. And that's I hope that gives an idea of what the line of action is. So basically, taking a look at your character, I figured that the line of action is kind of like this. You know, she's just sort of standing. She's not really doing anything dramatic. She's not flying into the air and kicking somebody with kung fu moves. She's just sort of relaxed and sedate. And so I just thought I'd give a nice curved, relaxed line like that. You know, just like that, because the upper body is actually pretty well done. You know, it's got a nice curve going on with the line of action here. But the lower body is disrupting that. And what I mean by that is, you know, you got the nice line here going on, and the body is connected nicely to the neck and to the head, and there's a nice rhythm going on there. But the left leg is at a very awkward angle. And what I mean by that is that if you take a look, left leg is a side view. That is a very uncomfortable position to be in, especially if the rest of the body is in the front view completely, or well, more three-quarter view than anything. So what I mean by that is, here as you can see, I'm going to draw a person. I'm not going to bother too much with the body, but I'm not going to focus more on the legs. And most of the time, if you take a look at, you know, anatomy books, and then when they're showing a person just standing, or if you just take a look at anybody and they're just relaxed and standing, most likely the feet is pointing forward. It's a sort of default, I think. You know, it can go to the side a bit, and it can still be fairly comfortable in supporting the weight. But if you have a person, you know, his left leg is completely at a left angle, and the one on the right isn't really supporting it, and it's kind of like completely at a sort of like at this angle. Hold on, let me draw that a bit better. Sort of going at this angle. Right away, as you can see, the pose is awkward. The legs look almost broken, and there are people that can stand like this, but it takes effort, and I don't think that's what's going on with your character. I think she's just relaxed, and when people are sort of standing like this, most likely they're probably going to tip over, you know, because the way the legs are, is not able to support the balance and the weight of the body. So that's what I did with this one, was just to have the feet pointing more forward, and at this angle the legs and the feet are able to support the balance and the weight of the body. And when you have that correct, you know, if you have that idea in mind, then when you do line of action, then you can go like, okay, gotta get the pose right. Have the feet firmly placed on the ground and have it nice and balanced. That way it seems as though they can properly stand, and when that's correct, then you don't really have to worry too much, because when we live in our world, and we know what's correct and what's not correct. So if something looks a bit off, it's very noticeable. But if you can get it right, if you just, you know, understand the rules a bit more, then it makes things easier. And this took me a while to learn. And when I was able to understand, you know, like the feet go forward, you know, just like that, and that's sort of the right way of having, that's the correct way of having a person stand, then it just makes it easier to keep in mind. And then it also makes it so that when you do the line of action, it's like this, you know, it's like you don't have to worry about things being separated. Alrighty, with that done, we can finally move on to the drawing on the bottom right. And all the things that I said for the previous two applies to this one as well. So, line of action, uh, a bit of negative space on the top and a bit more positive space in the bottom with a bit more detail. But yeah, overall, I think this one is pretty good. I think my main nitpick for this one has to do with the hips and these two legs. The left one more so. With this one, the unity for the line of action, like the way it connects to the rest of the body is, I'd say it's pretty good. But as you can see here, instead of having it as a sort of this shape over here, I gave it more of a shape like this, just to indicate more muscle. Because right now what you have is that I think you want this leg to be going forward in space and this one to be going backwards in space, but you have this very ambiguous flat shape going on. And that doesn't really indicate much. Right now what we see mostly, well, what I see mostly, is just this image, this shape that's larger here and smaller here. And that doesn't really help with the idea of it going forward in space. You have this shape right here which helps it some. But for what I do usually is that I just imagine the rest of the drawing. Oops, gotta get rid of that. I just imagine the rest of the leg. Because as soon as I do that, then I get a reminder, oh, there's a knee here. There's the thigh here, the thigh muscle. There's the muscle in the back of the leg. And as soon as I do that, I can no longer have just a flat shape. And you see here I have this going on, and I have an indication of the back muscle going on, and it's no longer flat. It's got more shape. It's got more lines going on. And just by having that variation, it gives the eye, it informs the eye that there's muscle, that there's form, there's something going on instead of a flat shape. And by imagining the feet and drawing out the feet forward and the feet for the foot for the right leg backwards in space, it helps me get an idea of how, what the approximate size for each of the legs would be. And as you can see, the difference is for the left leg pretty different. Whereas before it was just this, it is now. It's got this, it's got this, and it's got this. And I added this indication for the buttocks here because the butt has, it's got a fair amount of fat and skin because that's where we sit, so it's going to need that. And by having this line here, it also informs us that this is in front of this. There's form going on. Anyways, that should be about it. I hope this helped you out, Jose, in giving you an idea of which direction to head to. I would say just from seeing everything that you just need to brush up a bit on your anatomy, and there's tons of books and resources out there to help you out. I recommend going to the resource section on psychra.net or .com. I can't remember right now, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of stuff, resources and information out there on that website to help you out. I've provided a link in the description down below for you to find, and for anybody else that want to find the knowledge for that out there. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody that that went on liking Facebook and that put their stuff out there for me to critique. I'll get to the rest as soon as I can.
Bob, I have to use the computer.
What? I gotta go.